The story begins with a man named Ken, who is currently unemployed and spending his time playing an AI-based video game at home. Suddenly, his wife Amy tells him that there's a robot standing in their garden. Ken doesn't take her seriously, he ignores her, and continues watching TV. Amy insists, saying that everyone in the neighborhood is talking about that robot, and Ken should at least go outside and check how it ended up in their garden. Ken casually asks, "Is it an android robot?" Amy jokes and says she wishes it were a chef robot, one that could cook every kind of meal. She adds sarcastically that even a chef robot would be 1,000 times better than a useless husband like him. Then she changes the topic and asks, "So, how did your job interview go?" But the truth is, Ken never went to the interview, and he doesn't want Amy to find out. To avoid the conversation, he quietly walks into the garden. There, Ken finds an old, broken-looking robot. Out of curiosity, he asks the robot its name. To Ken's surprise, the robot replies, "My name is Tang." Ken is shocked because robots aren't supposed to talk, but Tang isn't really speaking on his own. He's repeating the exact words Ken says. Confused, Ken takes Tang to his mechanic friend, who buys and repairs old robots. After inspecting Tang, the mechanic says, "This robot belongs to Autobot Corporation, a huge android manufacturing company. But I've never seen a model like this before. It doesn't even have a serial number. No power switch either. Still, I could dismantle it and reuse its parts." Ken remembers that his garden gate is broken, so he picks up a gate handle and leaves. The mechanic goes to grab some tools, but when he returns, Tang is gone. Tang is secretly following Ken. On the way home, Ken runs into his sister Sakurako, who asks about the job interview. Ken avoids answering again and heads straight home. Tang follows him inside the house. Soon after, Amy gets a call from the medical center. They ask why Ken never showed up for his interview. Amy is heartbroken. She confronts Ken and says, "Your sister helped you get this medical job opportunity, and you didn't even show up. I don't understand what you want anymore. Are you ever going back to complete your medical training or not?" Ken calmly replies, "You don't need to worry. I'll finish my medical training soon. I just need some time to figure things out." He walks into another room and finds Tang scanning everything in the house. Amy explodes with frustration. "I do all the housework alone. I take care of you. I even wind your father's old clock every single day, and you do nothing." Ken brushes it off and says casually, "At least I can fix the garden gate." That's the final straw. Angry and hurt, Amy throws the old clock onto the floor, breaking it. She yells, "I don't know how long you'll keep running away from your responsibilities. I know you regret your father's death, but you can't live in the past forever. How long are you going to live off my money?" Ken snaps back, "You broke my father's clock, and now you're telling me to forget everything and move on. Fine, none of it matters anymore." Amy coldly replies, "If that's how you feel, then you have no right to stay in this house," and she kicks Ken out of the house. Later that night, Ken sits at a bus stop with Tang. Suddenly, a strange liquid starts leaking from inside Tang. Ken panics and tries to stop it using his clothes. While checking Tang, Ken discovers that Tang belongs to Autobot Corporation. He also learns about a company offer. Old robots can be exchanged for brand new ones. Seeing this as an opportunity, Ken decides to trade Tang for a new robot and goes to Autobot Corporation, but the company is closed for the day. So Ken checks into a hotel. That night, memories from his past return to haunt him. The day his father died right in front of him. Even though Ken was a medical intern, he couldn't save his own father, and that guilt still hasn't left him. But the receptionist refuses, saying Tang is not eligible for any replacement. As Tang stands there, school students gather around him, excited. They start taking photos with him, laughing and smiling. Seeing Tang, a tour guide named Shinji is completely shocked. He has never seen a robot like Tang before, because Tang shows emotions, just like a human. Shinji invites Ken and Tang to his home. He explains that he's actually a robot designer, though he sometimes works as a tour guide. After examining Tang's body, Shinji notices a cracked container filled with liquid. Using a glue pen, he temporarily seals it. Shinji explains, "This liquid is Tang's fuel. If it leaks out completely, Tang will stop working forever. I've sealed it for now, but this won't last long. To truly fix him, you'll need a top-level robot engineer." Later, Tang goes into the garden and starts playing with birds. Seeing this, Shinji is stunned. This robot is different. Tang feels empathy toward living creatures. Whoever created him rushed the design and used low-quality parts, but I'm sure that creator was planning to upgrade Tang someday. Shinji reaches out to his friends for help. One of them, Utsuki, agrees to help, but she works at the Space Science Museum in Shenzhen, China. Ken immediately refuses. "I'm not traveling all the way to China just to fix a useless robot." Ken leaves Tang alone in the market and starts walking away. Moments later, Tang returns, holding a cup of coffee for Ken. Because of his awkward movements, the coffee spills all over the ground. But seeing Tang trying to do something just for him, Ken feels something change inside his heart. And finally, he decides to take Tang to Shenzhen City. As fireworks light up the sky in the city, Tang suddenly remembers his past, flashes of memories where he's fighting robot soldiers. Tang becomes scared, but he doesn't say anything to Ken. Ken brings Tang to the Space and Science Museum, where they meet Otsuki. While Ken and Otsuki talk, Tang wanders off following a remote control car. Suddenly, two criminals use that car as bait and trap Tang inside a cage. Ken and Otsuki arrive moments later, but the criminals have already escaped in their car. Before leaving, Ken throws Otsuki's ID card into their car. That ID card contains a tracking chip. Using it, Ken and Otsuki begin chasing Agama's car. While driving, Ken says coldly, "Tang is just scrap. He's worthless. We don't even need to risk our lives for him." Otsuki responds seriously, "Shinji told me Tang's behavior is completely different from normal robots. Until now, AI had only reached 2 generations, robots that learn through advanced machine learning. But Tang is different." She continues, "He's a 3rd-generation AI, a robot capable of feeling emotions like humans. There is no other robot like him in the entire world." Ken is stunned. Still, he refuses to accept it. To him, Tang is still just broken junk. But deep inside, that belief is slowly starting to crack. Meanwhile, we see Sakurako talking to Amy. She says, "I know Ken keeps depending on you. That's why you get angry." Amy replies emotionally, "When I first met Ken, he told me he dreamed of becoming a doctor. But after your father's death, Ken completely changed." Sakurako gently says, "As long as you're with Ken, he feels safe. And I'm sure if Dad were alive today, he would have wanted the same." Saying this, Sakurako leaves. Amy picks up a champagne bottle cap and stares at it. Suddenly, memories from the past come rushing back. She remembers the day she became a law associate. To celebrate, she threw a party. Sakurako came along with her brother Ken. When Amy opened the champagne bottle, the cap flew into the air, and Ken caught it instantly. Everyone praised him. Amy was nervous about her new job. Ken comforted her and said, "I'm scared too. I want to become a doctor. I've just started my medical training. I don't have real skills or experience yet, but I still want to help people. One day, everything will be okay. Whenever you feel anxious, look at this bottle cap, and remember, one day, everything will be fine." Those words were the moment Amy fell in love with Ken. Back in the present, Amy's eyes fill with tears, but Ken is no longer the same man. Amy calls Ken and says coldly, "I'm exhausted from taking care of you, and honestly, you being away feels like relief. I want to end this. I want a divorce. I'll move out soon. You can come back whenever you want." Ken's heart shatters. He doesn't know what to say. Quietly, he agrees and hangs up. Otsuki overhears everything. She says, "You're pretending to be okay by running away from your past, but you'll never be happy like this." At the same time, they reach the criminals' hideout. As the gate opens, Ken and Otsuki sneak inside. The two goons leave Tang in the car and go inside to eat. Taking this chance, Ken and Otsuki free Tang from the cage and try to escape. But suddenly, the boss Dr. Asaka arrives with the goons. He scans Tang and says, "This robot contains a neurochip created by Professor Baba. He's a robotics genius. I've been searching for this chip. You don't understand how important this is. This robot is coming with me." Ken and Otsuki try to stop him, but a goon threatens them with an electric weapon. Asaka warns them, "If you interfere again, you might not leave here alive." Ken turns to Tang and coldly says, "I don't care about you, you're just a useless robot." Tang becomes furious. Hot gas starts releasing from his body, forcing Asaka and Ogama to step back. Ken said those words on purpose. In that moment, Otsuki grabs the electric device from the goon and shocks him. She tells Ken, "I'll hold them here. You take Tang and run. You need to find Professor Baba. He's the only one who can fix Tang." Ken escapes with Tang, but suddenly, Tang shuts down. Ken checks his body and realizes Tang's fuel is almost completely gone. Just then, Ken receives a video call. "It's Professor Baba. I'm the one who created Tang. Thank you for taking care of him. His real name is James. I was researching James, but he suddenly disappeared from my home. Right now, James has overheated. He'll stabilize soon, but you must bring him to me quickly. Only then can I truly save him." Ken quickly pulls him out and starts cleaning him. Tang softly says, "I won't leave you. I'll always stay with you." Ken looks broken and replies, "I can't help you. I couldn't even help my own father. I was a medical intern back then." Suddenly, memories from the past flood his mind. Ken remembers his father lying on the hospital bed. Ken was assisting the doctor, but the moment he saw his father's condition, he froze. His father kept asking for help, but Ken couldn't understand what to do. He just stood there, silent. His father's condition worsened. Doctors tried to save him using electric shocks, but his father passed away. From that day on, Ken blamed himself for his father's death. He tells Tang, "I was terrified. I couldn't make a decision. After that day, I lost faith in myself. I couldn't even respond to Amy. I always call you useless, but the truth is, I'm the useless one." Tang gently says, "I'll always be with you, and you should always stay with me." But Ken doesn't respond. They both head to Professor Baba's house. Professor Baba installs a new liquid bottle inside Tang. He explains, "Bioethanol liquid is James's fuel. It powers his entire body. If this fuel runs out, James will shut down." As soon as the new bottle is installed, Tang walks behind Ken and hides. Even when Baba calls him, Tang refuses to come forward. Ken is confused, but despite that, he forces himself to leave Tang behind with Baba. On the way, Ken runs into Asuka. Asuka asks about Tang. Ken replies, "Professor Baba created him, so I left Tang with him." Asuka looks serious and says, "I'm not a criminal, I'm a researcher. Listen carefully. 5 years ago, there was an accident in our lab. At that time, Baba and I were working together. We received a secret order to build military robots. During shooting practice, one robot, James, began to feel fear. Robots aren't supposed to feel emotions, but James felt fear like a human. We thought it was a miracle, but Baba refused to stop the practice. In the end, James panicked and destroyed all the robots by shooting them. Baba removed James's neurochip and blew up the entire lab. I escaped just in time, otherwise I'd be dead. After that, Baba disappeared. The facility was shut down and labeled an accident." Ken finally realizes the truth. He understands his mistake. Without hesitation, Ken steals Asuka's car and rushes back to save Tang. Asuka runs after him, shouting. Meanwhile, Tang's memory suddenly starts recovering, and with it, he remembers everything about Professor Baba, how Baba used fear, experiments, and pain to research on him. Terrified, Tang hides inside Baba's lab. Baba walks in, holding a dagger, and starts attacking Tang. Just then, Ken arrives. Tang runs and hides behind Ken, panicking, and says, "Baba wants my chip. If he gets it, I'll die." Baba locks the lab and coldly says, "I thought I erased James's memories, but they're still there. I've been watching you for a long time, Ken. I realized how foolish you are. It was easy to manipulate you and make you bring Tang straight to me. Once I take this neurochip, I'll make endless money." Baba uses his robotic arm and throws Ken across the room. Ken crashes hard and gets injured. Baba moves toward Tang to remove the neurochip, but Ken grabs Baba's leg and stops him. Baba shouts, "He's just a robot. Why would you risk your life for him?" Ken looks at Tang and says firmly, "Because Tang isn't just a robot, he's my friend." Hearing this, Tang gathers courage and attacks Baba. Baba kicks Tang away violently. Taking the chance, Ken strikes Baba with the robotic arm, knocking him unconscious, but suddenly, a heavy cabinet falls on Tang. His bioethanol bottle breaks, and Tang completely shuts down. Ken desperately replaces it with another bottle, but Tang still doesn't wake up. Panicking, Ken calls Asuka and explains everything. Asuka says, "The lab is locked, I can't get inside. It might be a problem with Tang's battery core unit. You'll need to reconnect the plugs. Only Baba knows the correct one. If you choose the wrong plug, the core will short circuit, and Tang's entire memory will be erased." Hearing this, Ken remembers the day his father died. He doesn't want to repeat that mistake again. Gathering all his courage, Ken reconnects the core unit, but he connects the wrong plugs. Tang reboots, but his memory is completely erased. Ken breaks down. He apologizes, crying, and begs Tang to remember the moments they spent together. Slowly, Tang's memory begins to recover. He remembers traveling inside a truck from China to Japan, ending up in Ken's garden. He remembers naming himself Tang after the Tangia company. And finally, he remembers Ken. Tang starts talking again. Ken smiles through tears, overwhelmed with joy. Asuka arrives with his team and arrests Professor Baba. Asuka tells Ken, "I don't want to break your friendship. If you take responsibility for Tang and keep reporting his condition, you can keep him." Ken happily agrees and takes Tang back home. At the same time, Amy is leaving the house. Ken arrives, trying to stop her, but Tang stands in her way and plays a recording. In the recording, Ken says, "We'll go home together, but things won't be the same anymore, because I'm going to become a doctor. I want to help people. I don't know how long it'll take, but I'll tell Amy this, no matter what." Hearing this, Amy becomes emotional. Ken says, "I know I disappointed you. I stayed home doing nothing, but now I understand. Without you, I'm nothing. I promise, I will become a doctor." Amy, in tears, gives Ken the champagne bottle cap and says, "One day, everything will be okay." Ken laughs. Amy smiles too. She looks at Tang and says, "You're the one who brought Ken back." Tang happily nods. Suddenly, Tang scans Amy and hears 2 heartbeats. Ken realizes Amy is pregnant. Overwhelmed with happiness, Ken looks at Tang and says, "You're very special to me." And finally, Ken, Amy, and Tang, together, begin a brand new life. The strongest bonds come from the most unexpected places.